Okay, let's take another crack at dealing this turn out. Defense of Cologne. Bourbon victory, they get to move a little bit. First place though. Better than this one. Decrease one level the will to fight of the player or players that have lost troops. This could be very important. This can knock some people out of the war. It might be the most important card to use. Of course, they're not going to gain any more concessions, but that doesn't really matter. Death of Queen Anne. Increase the will to fight of Great Britain. And this is automatically triggered, so Britain doesn't have to worry about having to grab that. Torre Gambada. Eliminate an allied troop from a coastal space of the Crown of Castile or Crown of Aragon. And again, just bad stuff happening to the allies here. Siege of Turin. This is an option. Savoy gets some troops. It's a victory for the allies. But mainly, we're just going to be doing a bunch of battles here. And none of them look terribly valuable. The Brits, going to grab the most important one. Okay, orange. What do we take? Green. Is it worth jumping down there? Not really. Purple. The two aren't that different. This one at least gives me a point. I get some recruitment and stuff. If I trigger it instead, sounds worthwhile. Okay. So now we go to orange. Defense of Toulon. He gets to move a couple and he gets to kill an allied unit. Ah. Who's doing well? Who's doing well? Not doing badly. This is how I see what the game can play as right now. Go there and there. We'll knock this out of Naples. And we took advantage. It goes away. Right. Okay, so that was orange. They get to actually play an action though, and they certainly want to. Will to fight. We have some money. We did resources last time, so we'll do will to fight this time. First one costs us 5. We'll spend 5 more to get up to there. And we're good. Red's next. Need to get some cash. We're going bankrupt here, aren't we? Our event allows us to kill 2 units, and whoever's lost is going to lose a will to fight. So if we can hit white, we can. And purple, we can. They each lose a will to fight. They're no longer at war. This is going away, but red gets to take an action. And like I said, they want cash. Cash means that they get $5. They get additional money for Bourbon areas, but this doesn't count as Bourbon. So we're just up to 0, which means at least if it ends, we're not penalized. Death of Queen Anne, forced into this event. Increase Britain's will by 2. Don't have a choice in the matter. And green gets to spend on something. Can't improve my will to fight, but I could move. I'm interested in Naples and Sardinia. I'm in Sardinia. I'm going to take a move action. It's going to be expensive. 3. Minorca's interesting to me too. 3 for that. That'll have to do. I can't afford to do a landing down here, for example. Okay. Okay. Eliminate an allied troop in a coastal space of Castile or Aragon. Well, we'll be hitting some English there, I believe. This isn't coastal. We could hit the Castilian, the Aragonese, but we don't want to do that. Okay. And we get to kill another unit, it looks like. I'm not sure. See, that might be a restriction on the killing. Let's see how these others are worded. Yeah, this one doesn't say that. Yeah, I think it's an exception and an additional hit. Since I can't hit this anyway, what do we want to hit with it? This is white. White's awfully pissed off at the Sardinians, but they're not happy with everyone else either. This is going away. We'll get rid of the Portuguese. They're still in the war. They seem to be... That's not the one we want to get rid of. We'll get rid of one there. They're still in the war. This comes out of the game. White has an allowable action, but white's not in the war. The war action, the peace actions have been taken. There's nothing I can do. Puts us on purple. Siege of Turin. I can take my point. Yay. I'm not at war, so I'm not going to be able to do anything else. Alternatively, I could fire off a recruitment. Nope. This is an allied victory. I can't do it. So I'm just taking my point. And the card goes in the discard pile. Someone else could play it if they wish. No one's going to. Nothing exciting happened, so we keep drawing. We're on another turn. Political change. Whigs, Tories. Great Britain loses 3 levels of will to fight and can change its goal card, drawing a random new one. Could be a way to knock the English out of the war. The Duke of Marlborough, lots of big points. It's bonus, able to knock out Bourbon troops or carry out a movement. And given how late we are in the war now, using him now becomes more valuable because, well, not so much for the movement, but for the attack, because that $4 for killing 2 units is at least a deal now. Malplaquet. The player that loses troops will also decrease their will to fight. Both the French, remember it was kind of a bloody fight for both sides. Both the Bourbon and the Allies lose a force there. The will to fight is the bigger deal. Fortress of Louisbourg. Recruit 2 French troops from those eliminated, or choose an overseas concession, and whoever owns it loses $5. That's only if you trigger the event, though. Schellenberg, an Allied victory. Eliminate a Bavarian unit. If there are no Bavarians left, eliminate the card from the game, even if it's not played for the card's text. That's interesting. We're going to have to remember that. So, what is the decision here? The problem is if I let the English have this, they're going to avoid the event. And I want the event played. I'm the only person who can force it to happen. I'll try to knock them out. Yeah, that's very Dutch. Try to knock the English out of the war. For the English, the points there are too much not to take. Oh, forgot to clear these out. Kind of reminds you a little of coin here, the way the shifting goes. You can see so many different influences on this game, and it's really intriguing to see them all work out. Green. Green's still in the war. Malplaquet could be a victory. I don't have to take the losses from the same place, do I? Nah, they do. I'm going to look at the not at war because I'm troubled. To me, it seems like Savoy should not be able to take losses, nor, more importantly, because they can't really do anything with their troops, cause losses to the French. I don't see a restriction against it, so I think it's allowable. I think it's unlikely you'd want to do this, simply because the Savoyan troops are not useful anymore unless they can re-enter the war or something. They're pretty much out of the game. They can't do the attacks, the moves. They can't do recruit either, but they're not going to gain more space. However, Green wants this because they could end up being hit otherwise, I think. So they're probably going to knock out the Dutch here. I'm still torn as to what I think they mean. Like, I think that to conform with the Allied setup, that French reinforcements, that the Bourbon Allied reinforcements should be able to do what I've been doing and should be able to extend into empty territories adjacent to them. That's what I think was meant. That's not how the rules are written, however. But I would be very troubled with being able to knock the Bourbons out of Spain and just run rampant all over it. Minus any attempt to move into that area. So I'm not really convinced that the rules as written are what the designer intended. Okay. White. Do I want Louisburg? Doesn't really matter. I can't do a victory. This is just an event. I can hit somebody for cash. Or I can take 2 points. I'm probably not going to hit somebody for cash. This is an Allied victory. I can take 1 point. I'll go for the 2 points. I would rather be hitting someone, but I'm not sure I'm really willing to. Let's see what our count is. 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 20. We have a decent amount of French troops. So the war is not anywhere near over anymore. So, on to orange. We're hitting this. Orange pays. Great Britain decreases 3 levels of will to fight and can change its goal card. Okay, Britain's got to decide about its goal. We have Brazil, which, does somebody have that? You'd think it would have come up. Oh, we have Brazil. We have Hudson Bay, which we don't think we're going to get. I guess we'll pitch Hudson Bay. We'll see what they get in exchange for that. Now we ended up with Sicily, which maybe is worth more. I don't know. We're not going to get the Sicily card off anyone, I don't think, unless we have something to offer. We might be able to make the Mantua-Sicily trade. Let's see if we can convince them. Not yet. The problem being, we're out of the war, says Austria, you know. But, on the other hand, the English have as easy a chance of getting Mantua as they do Sicilian territories. So, you know. Yeah, but their goal is Sicily. That's the issue. I don't know what the English could give away. They could give away the Hanoverian succession. There doesn't seem to be any restriction on handing those off either. That's a victory point right there. I don't know. Okay. So this was, Orange played this. They burned 2 points. This is out of play. And they don't have anything else they can do. They don't get an action. Red on Marlborough. Do I take $4 or do I want to carry out some extra movement or wipe out some Bourbons cheaply? I need money. I need money so badly. Take 4. Increase our will to fight. There's that 4. 5 more. 5 more. I don't know. That's risky, but I need money. I need to get the will to fight up so that I can do stuff and I can crank money off of cards or something, I guess. Malplaquet. I want to trigger Malplaquet. This is an allied victory. Green can do it. Because we can hurt someone else. And in this case, it'll be orange. Orange loses a will to fight. And that's it. All right. White wants money. Right? Or do they want to bone? So I'm not sure what happens if I'd picked red, who has an overseas concession in Brazil, to lose $5. Let's see. This is card, I can't read, 50. Let's see if there's any information on what happens if you're forced to go under the amount. No, just historical. And yeah, this is a special case on it, and the game does not nail down every special case. I would say you're limited to that -10. You can't go beyond that. I took the points already. I want to take an action. White, I could get $5. That doesn't really help me. I can increase my will to fight while I'm not at war. I can get back in the game. Jeez. What the hell? I think so. Sure. We'll take our $5. If we can get back in the war, why not? You know? Okay. And that puts us on purple. Schellenberg last. It's an Allied victory. I can't play it for that. So I get a buck. Something got eliminated no matter what. Nope. Okay. It must have been played. Purple cannot play anything because resources and will to fight have been used up. So we're done with this one. And we go on to yet another turn. And we're just pushing along. And I think I have to pretty much stop for the night. I was kind of hoping to run through all this, but you know, I'm not going to have the energy for a review anyway if I keep going, so seems wise. One key factor in that placement roll that I was ignoring to some extent that has an effect is that movement into some place like this would be legal so long as I'm in a port. The ports are considered adjacent to each other. That seems pretty clear from their discussion, but the movement into some place like Madrid would not have been legal at all. And again, I'm still not sure. I accept that's what it should be, but the designer seems to have made that kind of statement in the sense that you could move French units into Naples assuming there's a unit in Toulon and stuff like that. So I think he does mean the rules as they're written. I just may question them because here's the thing. The Allies could move around within a freely and uncontested area. But what you don't want happening, I guess, would be troops showing up in the midst of enemy forces, behind the lines as it were. And this certainly prevents that from happening. I think a trace would work just as well though. Anyway. We'll keep playing the way I'm playing for now. For this game. Alright, here we are this morning. Ready to draw out some more cards. It's hard to tell how far the game's along. There's still a lot of wall left. There's still a fair number of French units left. I'm not under that 20. And they seem to be growing from the dead pile. But there's got to be a limit to how many battles there are here. Equate all wills to fight to the lowest value. This is the Treaty of Utrecht. Now this would generate a trigger, but there's nothing left over here in the reserves. So unless something shows up there, I'm not going to pull them out of here to replace units. And that's kind of a first place position going into the treaty in exchange for getting just about nothing. Jonathan Swift, you hurt somebody's will to fight. People are going to be dropping out of this war. But everybody can drop out of the war and it still keeps going. There were periods of pretty much total ceasefire during negotiations that, given that you can pop back into the war, aren't that big a deal. Barrier, another treaty. Now this one can only be played by the English and the Dutch and the Austrians for having the treaty card here. The barrier, Flanders concession. This recruits 2 troops and carries out an action. It's got a decent price to it. It's another treaty. It would trigger a different thing, but we're not seeing any concessions. They're all out already, and there's only one per period. So, Oudenarde. This is going to be an allied victory, so if people are still in the war, whoever has that's still in the war, they can trigger it. And Death to the Bourbon King, which is kind of cool because you can wipe stuff out in Aragon. But it does not. Actually, it eliminates a Bourbon troop from Castile or from Aragon. Yeah, no. But this would help the will to fight of the folks who are in the Spanish territories. So that's kind of appealing for them to see it move forward at a cheap price, only 2, and it raises it 2 levels. Okay. These should have already been moved. I'll be back in a moment. I've got a problem. Is that my sweatpants weren't staying up. I have to hook them over my shoulder somehow if I want them to stay up. So now my legs are cold. But, alright. Let's figure out what we're doing. Orange. Orange here has choices. Equate all wills to fight. That doesn't... This is not helpful. I could knock somebody out with this. Recruit 2 troops and carry out an action. This isn't a war. A warfare. So I think you'd be allowed to recruit without the warfare. Although I don't know if you'd be allowed to pick something else. Well... because that would officially be an action. That doesn't sound terrible. I don't have a lot of money though. So I'm going to increase my money. Jonathan Swift is not a bad choice. On the other hand, I can knock somebody's will out with that. But I don't know how interested I am in knocking the will out because you can get back in. On to red. Red can play the barrier. Doesn't sound bad to them. They need money too. They may not take... Well, they can't fire the card off for its event because they can't afford to pay for it. Green. Oh, I'm thinking the first place finish is worth more than the points. Plus I drag everyone. Well, that's going to happen no matter what. I can't change that. White. Yeah, I'm not so sure about that. I kind of like getting a couple of points. Don't I? Eliminate a Bourbon troop in Flanders. I'm certainly not going to trigger this off, I don't think. Although I could... It does let me kill the French here more easily. And I could nuke this out. Yeah, I think I want Oudenarde, actually. That puts me to white, the Austrians, who are not in the war. Oh, this is intriguing too, though. Recruit a troop of the crown of Aragon and eliminate 1 Bourbon troop from the crown of Castile. This only increases it by 1 level. Oh, jeez. If the English aren't doing this, we should do it. That puts it on white. Do they particularly want to fight Oudenarde? They'll take the first choice at Utrecht. Oh! Lowest value is not at war. Nobody's going to be able to do war events. I'll put purple here. It's getting hard to figure out what I want to do. Okay. Utrecht. That kills a barrier. Equate all wills to fight with lowest value. It's truce. Eliminate the card from the game and shuffle. I'm going to put that here to remind me I got to reshuffle the deck. Okay. I get to do an action. I took resources last time. I could up my will to fight. That's about all I can do. We'll buy it. 4. 4. I need to recruit to get more troops onto the board. Five more. All right, we're back in. Jonathan Swift. It's 3 points for orange, or I could spend the points and decrease the will to fight of the Austrians. I'll take the 3 points in the bank. I'll grab resources because I'm not at war. And that will get me a grand total of 5 because my only cube is right there. Red could do the barrier treaty. I'm not going to get an action, so spending 3 pucks for that seems like a bad idea. And that goes here because it didn't get played. No actions I can play because I'm not at war. Purple banks 2. No actions they can play. They're not allowed to play this card for the event because they're not at war. However, this is just an event. And green is going to play this for the event. Recruit a unit. Oh, there aren't any. I've got all the Aragonese out. Eliminate a Bourbon troop from Castile or from Aragon. Get rid of this one. Increase by 1 the level to fight for any player with troops in Castile or Aragon. And we're back in the war. That took our action though, so we can't do anything being back in the war. Let's count the French troops. 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. We've got 7 over. And obviously there are still some of these. On to the next turn. Gotta remember to do these. I'm just buzzing through. I'm not worrying too much about the sequence of play, so I miss things like that, but it's not that big a deal. Schellenberg, Allied victory. Not everyone can play this. Eliminate a Bavarian. If there are no Bavarians, the card leaves the game, even if it's not played as per the card's text. Siege of Turin. Savoy gets some troops. Philip V renounces his claim to France. This drops everyone's will to fight except Austria. And that token's back in play in case it means anything. Death of Joseph I. Increase Austria's will to fight by 2 and decrease all other players by 2. Only Austria can control the Imperials from now on. Nobody's been using them. Place this card with the concession of the Austrian player, and if the game ends with a Bourbon defeat, it's worth 7 victory points. Which means the Austrians are now as interested as Savoy in making sure that the Bourbon are defeated. And Daniel Defoe, increase 2 levels will to fight of 1 player, or decrease someone by 2. We've seen this before, I think. All right. So, going first is important at this point to getting cash. I could do the Defoe event. That could get a decent amount of cash as well, but it strikes me that the Schellenberg is a worthwhile action. Joseph I is going to be triggered no matter what. This is going to be triggered no matter what. There's no reason to aim for those. The military cards, Siege of Turin might be worthwhile for the Savoyans, but again. Okay, orange. My problem here is white's going to be taking the resources action. If I take resources, then, or if I take the next card, I'm not allowed resources anyway. I'm allowed will to fight though. But well, I have a decent amount of points. I probably want to boost that so I can build some troops. There's nothing else other than Defoe, which is a cheaper way to get will to fight, is it not? If I take 4, I get 1 for free, and 2 for the 4. If I pay for this, see, this is a more flexible card, but I like staying up near the top because it means I get a shot at getting the resources again next time. I can't get them this time. Red. Alright. Take a useless event or a bunch of points. Yeah, we'll take a bunch of points. Being third doesn't seem to help much. It's only the first 2 that really matter. Not that I can't do things. I'm in the war officially, but purple. What do you want? Well, I don't have much control over either of these. All right. So white. Schellenberg. What do we do? So this card is removed from the game. And there's no reason to play it for the card, so I'll take the buck. And I'll take resources. I'm not in any Bourbon territory, so I just get 5 resources. And remember, these are victory point penalties. Yeah, getting stuck down there isn't a good thing. Siege of Turin. Orange isn't as war, so I gotta take the buck. And I could raise will to fight. Seems like a good idea. 4. Do we want to keep raising it? I don't know if I'm going to make it high enough for it to make a difference. Let's spend 4 more. At least get our way towards there, but that's it. Purple. Alright. One of these goes as the timer is ticking. Decrease by 2 levels the will to fight of all allies except Austria. And this is going to be requiring a shuffle. Why did I pay for those will to fights? That was stupid. Oh well. I get an action. Nobody has any will. Okay. Death of Joseph the First. Increased by 2 levels the will to fight of Austria, and decreased by 2 all other players. Austria gets this card with the concessions. Only Austria can control the Imperials. This was Green's card. There's nothing they can do with it. Red will take the Defoe card. They'll grab $4 with it because they can't do any actions. They're all filled there. Well, no. They could increase their will to fight. They want the bucks. And we'll have another reshuffle. To see a real decrease in what little negotiation I even had going on before, which is a pity. I was hoping, it's my fault, but I was hoping to see more of it happen. Siege of Leda. It's going to be a Bourbon victory. You can see he continues dropping the Prince of Darmstadt. Use him as a character on your turn. Recruit 2 troops from the Crown of Aragon and eliminate 2 Bourbon troops from the Crown of Castile or from the Crown of Aragon. Interesting. Convent of Santa Madrona. Another allied victory. This can't be played by anyone except the Austrians. At the end of this turn, eliminate 3 rampart sections from Barcelona's wall. That doesn't sound useful. Unless you're trying to end the game that way. Austria may want to pick this up to prevent it from falling into anyone else's hands. Because if that's triggered, that could be troublesome. Monte de Torero, an allied victory. You can carry out 1 movement of troops in the Crown of Castile and Crown of Aragon. That would cost 4. The Convent of the Capuchins. Recruit a Bourbon. 2 hits. Recruit a Bourbon troop in a space in the Crown of Castile or the Crown of Aragon. So now, would this follow normal, Bourbon placement? I don't know. Because if they're knocked out already, would they be able to? That's the problem I have. They probably can get through a port, but I don't know. They don't. They have this one. Okay. But maybe they can't. Maybe all the ports are taken. All right, the Austrians. How do they feel about this? They want to keep the game going. They don't want to bust these walls down. They want a French loss because of the big 7 points. So we're going here, actually. See, this is annoying. Because this card, if you play it for the event, triggers... Jesus. It triggers the loss of the 2 units, but it also triggers a growth of a wall, but then 3 of them disappear. Now, this is odd because where there's treaties, I kind of triggered the recruitment event off those treaties. I think I probably shouldn't unless you actually paid to activate the treaty, unless it's a 0, in which case it's auto-activated. Again, the rules are not, well nailed down in all these cases. Orange. Orange has no war. Darmstadt gets me 2. Recruit 2 troops from the Crown of Aragon and eliminate 2 Bourbon from the Crown of Castile. Do I just want $2? It's good positioning. Some money. I can keep taking resources. Sounds good. Purple. So purple has a chance to jump up into first place here, and I believe they'll take it, even if it doesn't terribly help them. Seems better than this. Green, no question. We don't want the 0. Alright, on to purple. No bonus. I get to move 2 French. We kill one of these. We kill an allied unit next to a Bourbon. Who are we worried about? Austria pisses me off. And they're at war. I get to move 2 Bourbon units. To move these 2. Dump this one over here. Dump this one down there. I hope I don't care about that shit. I don't. This leaves the game. Okay. And I triggered that. I still get an action. I'll take resources, the only thing I can do, and I get $5 for that. Except I'm not orange. I think I took it from here. I don't know. Oh, that was purple. Okay. And it shouldn't be orange, it should be purple. That's how I got confused. Orange here. Prince of Darmstadt. This is a character. He can recruit troops and eliminate Bourbons from Castile. I don't want to do that. So I'll just take $2. This doesn't get eliminated. I got screwed out of the resources by purple. I was hoping to get them. Oh well. Did purple really want resources? Yeah. Screw orange. White. Allied victory. Do I want to fight this? I decided I went for this because I don't want to fight it. So that's 2 resources for white. And I can increase my will to fight. Which I will do. I want to stay in the game because I can kill things, I guess. Or do I want to kill things? Killing things is expensive right now. But for 5 points, increasing my will to fight makes them a little bit cheaper. Do I want to spend another 5? No, I'm low enough on the totem pole. Monte de Torino. This is a battle. This is an allied victory. Green can't play it, but they can take the 3 points. And there are no actions available for them. Red can take the 0 points. 2 of these gone. 2 kills. Okay, let's look at what we get here. Recruit a Bourbon troop in a space of the Crown of Castile or the Crown of Aragon. We'll take a blue one here. And now, what else? We get to kill 2. There are no allied Austrians here. We could start killing Imperials. I don't think that terribly helps us. Kill Portuguese. Kill Portuguese. Portuguese aren't at war, but I can still schwack them. This card is removed for being used that way. We don't have a reshuffle this turn, and it's time for me to work. Okay, looking online, I found some interesting clarifications that weren't obvious from the rules. So, you don't have to take the Bourbon reinforcements from here. You're allowed to take them from the Castilians and from the Bavarians. What's interesting there is, by doing that, you can slow the game down in terms of especially these collapsing. Now, that also, though, means that these guys count against the Bourbon troops, so we're further from a Bourbon defeat than we've ever seemed. I think that's about it. Now, except to say that it isn't very often that I'm willing to kind of troll the forums or specific to the game to look for questions about it. I generally expect a game to get the rules right, as written. And if they're not clear enough, well, so be it. But see, this is recruitment, this is reinforcement, I don't know. Actually, that means that these would have been coming on the board anyhow. And I'm not sure the French destroyed units don't become available once you're done with this. Again, a lot that's not nailed down. I feel like the rules need a full rewrite. But the game is interesting enough, like, say, some of the Azor Wish ones, that I really do want to try to understand what the designer intended here, because I think there's some really neat concepts in play here. So, you know, take that one way or the other. This one has me very intrigued. And it's not like misplaying it doesn't get you something that's interesting. It's hard to determine whether or not you're playing the simulation that was intended here. And unlike most Euros, that actually matters in this. This one does seem to be very nicely linked to the reality of the world. Okay, so I guess we don't have a whole lot of time left on this video either. The game eats up the video because I have to capture everything. Anyway, it's been a very flawed game, but I still think very interesting. A Jacobite Rising, which we haven't played yet, but it'll knock out a couple of British troops. There aren't many. There's only one on the board. Marquis de Torcy, we've seen him before. Switching concessions. Guido Starenberg. Okay, this allows you to exchange this turn sequence of players prior to choosing cards. So you have to have them in your hand to use that ability. That's expensive because I guess you could use it, you know, if you get yourself stuck in a position where you can't get out of the last place, but you're paying 4 instead of receiving 4, that's a lot to give up. Death to the Bourbon King. Seen that in effect before. And a concession, the Asiento. This one gives you some initial money, but before the final count of victory points, you're going to lose 10 money. So you've got to make sure that you make up that money in the long term. This is kind of an iffy card. Especially this late in the game. Nobody probably wants it in this late position, etc. Alright, what do we got? Purple. Purple is not in the war right now. Slide those. They're able to boost will to fight if they're in probably the first position. That's probably pretty necessary for them, given they have some decent money. How do we feel about the Detorsi, though? We might want to take that option. That allows us to swap a concession. Well, this is beginning to look iffy, so the Pact of Genoa might be worthwhile. Alternatively, we're not in Sardinia anymore. We don't really care that much about it. Do we get to pick? Yes, and the other person gets to throw away will to fight, which I guess doesn't matter if they don't have any. So Austria is the only person we can really turn the ratchet on here. He has Tuscany, which certainly is easier for us to get. Flanders and Sicily. Flanders certainly isn't. We really like Tuscany. We like Flanders as well. So yeah, we're going to go for that victory point exchange. We don't do it that way. Do it this way. Orange. Ooh. First place finish for the turn in Jacobite land, or a bunch of money. Which does Orange want more? First place means we'll be spending money. Although, of course, we could just take a resources pick to boost ourselves. That would give us $7, whereas this only gives us 4. Sounds like a deal no matter what. Unless we have some particular desire for one of the events, which is becoming less and less the case. White. Hey, big money. And most likelihood of being able to get one of those picks, but at least I'm early in the ordering. Green, well, we don't want the Asiento, so we stick the Brits with the Asiento. All right, and orange. Orange takes the Jacobite Rising. We're just going to take 2 points with it because we do not want the event terribly much. And resources or will? Sounds like resources to me. $5. Purple. We're going to pay the 3 to activate this card. Countries not at war cannot play this card and cannot be the target of the card. Oh, never mind. I guess we take $3. Never mind. And we'll increase our will to fight. Well, if we were at war before we had it, we could have done it. But we definitely want to be at war. There's all kinds of stuff for us to grab. So let's start boosting this. 4. And 4. And 5. Gives us a little bit of padding because there are things that drop you a couple of points. Okay. White. Exchange turn sequence of 2 players prior to choosing cards. I'm not really that interested in that. I'm a lot more interested in getting my points down. I am at war and know I can do something. Yeah. Mantua, Flanders, and the Duchy of Milan. Milan's tough to get to, but we're going to take a movement action. 1, 2, $3. Gets us there. Anything else? Let's keep thinking. Flanders. We got Mantua. Flanders is a long way away. it would actually probably be better off going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's only another victory point. That's a lot of effort to get all the way down there. This is only another victory point, and we can grab that. 1, 2, 3. We'll do that. We'll get ourselves the point from Bresgau. That sounds more reasonable. On to green. Death of the Bourbon King. Alright, what does this do? We could recruit a troop of Aragon and eliminate a Bourbon from Castile. Increase the level of will to fight of a player. That's a good deal for us. We're going to pay to cause this effect. We've gotten dragged back in. So, one troop of Aragon. No, there aren't any. And eliminate a Bourbon troop from somewhere. We'll get them out of Gibraltar. And we increase our will to fight. Oh, we're not in there. Oh, yes, we are. This is part of Aragon, I think. I don't know what that greenish color is otherwise. It could just... That might be a different color from this. Oh, it looks like it's the same color, though. Yeah. So we get a point of will to fight. And that's actually the reason why this was at all worthwhile, was that bonus. I thought I was actually in Castile at this point. And the poor Brits get the Ciento. Okay, so they get 5 gold. But they have this big negative 10 at the end of the game, whenever that is, which if I remember it, that's going to throw them deep into the negatives, and they're not going to be in a good position to do anything. And at this point, there is nothing they can do, because they're not in the war, and they can't do any of the non-war actions. So, let's send this one out.